webinar. My name is Daniela Narvaez, and today we will go through the business process of the material planning in be.as, and also I wanted to show you some scenarios on how to manage all the recommendations from the calculation from be.as according to our forecast, our minimum inventory, our sales orders, work orders, purchase orders that are included on the system to get the best estimated quantity that we need to produce and to get to our inventory and to our sales. Okay. So if you have any questions, we will be answering after the session. So if you can write it down, and then we will have a little time for that. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with the business process. Okay, so here we are. We saw on the previous webinar. We saw how to create our items, our resources, and how to include everything from the manufacturing into be.as. Okay, so now that we have all linked and all integrated into SAP and be.as, we're going to start planning. Okay, so the first step that we should do before running the MRP is to review our master data. Okay, to check our lead times, check our inventory that we have, maybe close some sales orders that are in the past, depending on the requirements that the business have. Okay, the second step should be to create the scenario that we want to plan. In this case, we can select if we want to see our sales orders, or if we only want to see our forecast, or maybe if we want to check our inventory. There are several parameters that we can adjust in order to get the best requirement according to our business. Okay? And then after we create our scenario and after we review our data, we can execute the MRP. On the MRP, as you can see on the left and down from the box, we can include our work orders, sales orders that are planned, that are in the future, purchase orders from raw material that we need for the assemblies or for the production, the actual inventory that we have on our storage, on our warehouse, and the forecast that we have on our based on our sales and on our promotions and on our marketing. Okay. Right after we execute the MRP, this can be in background or online, we will receive from the system the calculation of the requirements of each product that we assign on the scenario. In here, we can see and analyze all the purchase requests that we should do, and all the production that we should make in order to get into our sales and into our desired service level that we have. And after we analyze, we will have a time to make quantities and days adjustments, just in case we need to change some information from the system according to the results. And then we create the orders, work orders or purchase orders that we have to include in our business in order to get our stock. Okay, so this process of the material requirement planning is designed to plan all the material for the manufacturing or procurement process, because we will find that we can create work orders or purchase orders in order to match our customer demand and also maintain the desired level that we have. Okay, so just before going to the system, I wanted to show you how the MRP logic is. Okay, Think about the MRP just as a calculator. I mean, the objective is to plan the inventory flow throughout the period of time according to our incomes and outcomes in the period. For example, work orders, the inventory, the purchase orders, good receipts that we have, a forecast, sales orders, as you can see on the left side of the screen. So there are some things that can sum to the inventory, and there are some things that can reduct from the inventory. This this is the things that can sum stock to our inventory. The work orders from the finished goods, that's important. The purchase orders from the raw material or the subassembly that we have, all the products that we need to buy in order to produce, okay? And the good receipts that we have from the either from the work orders or from the purchase orders, okay? What are the things that take the inventory off? The forecast, for example, because we have to get into the forecast, and this will take our inventory down, okay? Also, the work orders that are from the raw material, because the work orders from the raw materials are most of them for consumption. I mean, we're going to consume this raw material in order to produce, but in this case, it's going to take the inventory. Also, the sales orders, that is more or less the same as the forecast, and the minimum inventory that we have. With all this, the system will start calculating, okay, based on the period of time that we have. For example, we can plan on 60 days from today, and this will go with the flow of the inventory all over the periods. It's going to be by week or by month, or depending if you have it yearly too. And after that, the MRP will give us a result, and the result is going to be how much do we need to buy or how much do we need to produce in order to get our customer satisfaction. Okay. For example, you can see it like this. It's going to be a finished good or a raw material, okay? And depending on how we look it, if we go into the finished good or if we go into the raw material, how are we going to look the information, okay? So let's go directly to the system, so I can show you several scenarios. First of all, I wanted to show you about my item structure. Okay, in our session, we're going to have 4 scenarios. Okay, that are going to apply for this subassembly. Okay, it's going to take this raw material and it's going to have this routing as linked. For the second one, we also have it a pretty simple. Okay, that we have a finished good and a raw material. And for the third scenario, it is a bit complex. It's going to have the subassembly, that is the first one, okay? And we're going to have several operations in order to make the finished good, okay? So, for example, we're going to see on our MRP, you can see I have the menu integrated to SAP. And if we go to MRP, we go to the Mrp Wizard. And in here, we're going to have these 4 scenarios. We're going to have one that will only show what the system does when it's going to calculate the minimum inventory. Okay. The second one is going to be having forecast and lead time. The third one is going to be about having sales orders, forecasts, work orders. Just getting a little bit more complex. And the fourth one is going to take all the subassembly explosion. And after that, we're going to see the full MRP, just to make sure that you can see it with the whole list of the items. Okay. So for the first scenario, I wanted to show you first how to create it. In this case, we click on new. I'm going to click on edit just to make sure that you see all the information, okay? And we can give them a description of what are we're going to enter. We can say also how do we want the order recommendation, if we want it by week, by month, by 2 week, or manually, okay? We also wanted to give the system the number of days from today to the future that we are going to plan our material requirement. In our scenario, it's going to be 60 days, but just to make sure that you can set any date you want. You can have it by work days, or you can also have it by delivery by. I mean, you can have it a deadline. For example, if you can say 60 days, or also you can take and just say we are on May, so we're going to be until for 60 days. So we're going to take until the July 31st. So if you can select by either one, just this one, or you just can say, well, 60 days. And after you select the 60 days, as you can see, this part will disappear. Okay. Also, let me go again to my example. I can give the filter or the sorting to be displayed on the order recommendation. For example, I just assign my items, okay, but I have it sorted by differently because I assign it a property from the item master data, okay. And as you can see, you can sort by employee if you have sales item, or purchase part if you want to see only the production or only the purchase, okay. And this is the part where you put all the description, all the master data and parameters that are going to be assigned to this scenario. There is a second tab that is a really important one, where you define all the detail, okay, where you say all the parameters that you want to include on your scenario. For example, we're going to go through the main important, okay. For example, in pegging and replenishment, in here you have different options. You can have, for example, at warehouse, where you can assign if you wanted to use your stock, okay, your actual stock, if you want to use the minimum inventory, because if you don't want to use it and it's on the master data, you can just uncheck it. At this scenario that we're going to do, I'm going to take the minimum inventory. So yes. Also, you can say if you want to take a production that is linked to this item, plan orders, maintenance orders, good receipts that have been from the production, okay. So you can select all this information. If you don't want to see any work orders, you just uncheck this and it won't be taken into account. Also for sales, you can include the sales orders. For example, as you can see, if I uncheck it, nothing related to the sales order is going to be taken into account. But you can select blanket agreements. I mean, you have several things in here. You can also decide if for the sales order you're going to break down your sub-assemblies if you have different levels from the item. Okay. And also for the purchase is the same. You will have, if you wanted to get the purchase orders. If not, you will see that all of the rest of the options are disabled. And you can select, depending on the business, what do you want to see on the scenario. Okay. About the pegging is how, if you want to sum the pegging, if you want to sum the requirement according to the products linked to another product. For example, if you have this second level like this, like you have a finished good, but you also have a raw material and a sub-assembly that also have another production that has another raw material, you can say if you don't want to do it just a detail, or just to get the sum by day or by week, or just by document. Okay, there's just two sales orders and one sales order. I wanted to see it by detail instead of summing up. Okay, also you can say if you want to calculate the lead time for the assembly, this will take the resource operation, the resource time, and the resource setup time in the routing, so it's going to be taken into account. Okay, and if you want to link also the operations, there are several parameters in here that it is very useful if you take a look, just to make sure that you give the proper parameters to the scenario. When you create a new Mrp Wizard scenario, there are some parameters, as you can see, that are going to be by default. Okay, we have a wizard scenario that is going to be default, and then you can change all the information that you have. Okay, so in this case, we're going to, as I said, we're going to see about the minimum inventory. I wanted to show you first on the item, because my item is going to be the first one. Okay, if we go to the item master data, an important thing is that if you want to be taking account the minimum inventory, is by inventory data, and is the minimum in here. For example, all the time I want to have a minimum inventory on my warehouse of 50. So every time that I have a requirement, and that my stock is under 50, it's going to make a requirement just to guarantee that my stock goes on until 50. For example, in here I have only 5 in inventory, so the result should be that 45 is going to be a requirement when the calculation is done. Okay, and also for the raw material one, I also include it. Okay, and if we go to the inventory data, it's going to be 75. Okay, and a good thing is that you can see that in here is going to be needed 2 pieces per one finished good. Okay, because all these things are going to be taken into account in the Mrp. Okay, so let's just calculate it. Okay, after we create our scenario, we just click on calculate. Should the calculation be started now? We click on yes. And as you can see in here, the system is doing. Okay, so after that, we will see this check one and the status okay, so that means that it ran okay. Okay, after that, we are going to go into the order recommendation to see what the system gives us as a result to buy or to produce. Okay, so we click in here, and here we have our main Mrp window, that is the order recommendation. This is the window that we have all the information from the beginning until the results. Okay, in the upper side of the screen, you will find all the items that were included into our scenario. Okay, and in here you will have several information that is really important when the Mrp start calculating the requirements. Okay, for example, we have here the lead time, that in our case there is no lead time. Okay, between to get the raw material or to produce. Here you can see that we have the minimum inventory. Okay, that is this one that we saw on the master data. The warehouse stock, what we actually have in the stock, if we have any reservations that at the moment we don't have, if we have any inflow, any income that maybe a purchase order from the raw material, or a work order from the produced material, anything, we can see it over here, okay? And the outflows are all the consumptions that we have referring to this, okay? So for example, let's take a look on the first one. Also, sorry, we will have a period of time that is by week, because we take on the first step that we are going to be doing this recommendation by week. Okay, you can modify here the quantity that the system is saying. Okay, and also it has several other information like price, like the supplier in case we have a supplier, like the delivery date that we have depending on the information. But for example, the minimum inventory, it's like due for today, so that is why the delivery day is today. But in case we have a sales order or something like that, and it's on the future and we have to cover it, it's going to take into account the delivery date of any document that we have. We're going to have it. We're going to see it on the next scenarios. And also, what kind of item is it? This one is a purchase item. That is why the procurement method is buy, and the other one is assembly. And if we have any other master data information. Okay, so in this case, if you can see on the first one, we have 5 of stock and we have the minimum inventory of 50. So the system will do a calculation that is going to need 45 to get into the minimum inventory. We do not have in this scenario any other information that involve the item, not even sales orders or forecasts or work orders. Okay, and in the second one, in the raw material, we have a different thing, because as you can see, we have a minimum inventory that is for this item, that is only for this item, but also we have another line that is the minimum inventory from the finished good that we have in here, that is related to this one. And because it is 2 items per purchase per finished good, it's going to twice the 45 for the requirement. As you can see in here, we have 10 from the actual stock and we have 75 from the minimum stock. So on the first line you will see the 65 because it's going to rest it. And on the second one it's going to be 90 because it's 45 by 2. Okay, so summing all these two, it gets a result of 155. That is what the system is telling us to issue, okay, to request from the purchase and from the finished good. Okay, there are several other buttons in here that you can use in order to filter. Okay, for example, if we have if we want to see only if we have several items, we can say that in here it's only shortage. It will bring only the items that needs a requirement, but you can say all calculated entries, or you can select different filters. Also, you can just select the item that you want to see in here. Okay, you can define different filters. Okay, and there's another part that is, well, after we see what do we need, how do we do to create our purchase order, for example, for this one, and our work order for this one. This is a really simple case. Okay, we can do it automatically by clicking in mode. Okay, clicking in mode in here, and just as you can see, it only takes the information from the upper side, and here we have the quantity that we want to include. We can select the pre-assign button that will assure that the numbers from the balance that is the numbers that we need for the requirement are going to be pre-assigned. We can pre-assign by saying that it's going to be for the next week, so for the next 7 work days. And if we have several items in here, that some are going to be the mode of procurement buy or the mode of procurement produce, we can just select, well, we're going to do the pre-assign only for 7 days for the purchase items, for example. So we click on the pre-assign, and we just see here that it only brings the mode of procurement buy. In this case, is only the raw material, and it just takes the information from the balance. Okay, we just pre-assign. If we want to do a purchase request, okay, because we only give the number. If we want to do a purchase request, we just click on this button, that is the purchase request. It gives us an information, and we just say, just start the operation. We don't have any prices, but we can create the purchase order too. Okay, and as you can see, a new window is open. In here, on the MRP, if we are going to do the pre-assign and the pre-assign functionality, the system will create what we call the intermediate documents that are only from be.as, that are, for example, the purchase request or the production demand. That after that, after we certificate that this is the information that we are going to do, and this is the requirement that we are going to make, after that we can create in here the purchase order or the purchase quotation or the draft purchase orders that are SAP documents. Okay, so in here you will see all the different items if they are from the same supplier, and you can just create the purchase order. Okay, we are going to have in a scenario that we are going to have more items, but for example, I'm going to create this purchase order for this one. Okay, yes. All right, and for example, we click again on mode. Okay, and as you can see, the system already reset our balance, because a purchase order is written in another line on the detail. Okay, and this can solve our need for this purchase for this raw material. Okay, in the case of the production, we can do the same thing as we did on the other one, but I'm going to show you another way to do it. We can double click on the minimum inventory, and this one will take us into the next tab that we have, that is, in this case, is going to be produce, and in the other case it says order. Okay, and as you can see, it takes the 45 that we have for the minimum inventory. It gives us the item, the delivery date that we need. We can change it. For example, we can put it for the next day, and we can say different information in here, and we can create the intermediate document that we have for be.as, or we can create directly the work order. Let's just create the work order for us. This is the lot size is set to 1, so it's going to be 45 position. In our case, it's not a problem for that. What it's going to do is 45 positions on the work order, but it's okay. Still thinking. Okay. And as you can see, it brings the work order document with all the positions from one piece. Okay. And as you can see, the balance is set to 0. If we go to the previous tab, we will see that each position will take off the balance up to 0. Okay. So this is how it works on the basic view. Okay. Let's go to another scenario that is going to be more complex. Okay. But I just wanted to show you the different information that we have. Okay. For now, we're going to have the second scenario that is going to be forecast. Okay, and lead time. If we go under 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 the Mrp Wizard scenario, we will have an additional that is that was on the previous one, but we didn't assign any information. That is our forecast. This forecast is read by the SAP forecast that we have. If we go to the system and we go to the SAP forecast, we can see in here that we have several items that are included in our forecast and with different numbers. Okay, in our case, it's going to take the first one. Okay, that as you can see, we have for the next 4 weeks, we will have 25 per week. Okay, 25 requirement as a forecast. Okay, so we assign it in here. We click in here and it will bring all the forecasts that we have on the system, and we just select the one that we want to use. Okay, and that's the information that we need. An important thing when we are talking about forecast is that on our configuration wizard, if we go under administration, system initialization and configuration wizard, we will have a special part assigned for the forecast. Okay, if we go to material management, we will have the Mrp Wizard. If we select this one and we go through forecast, what we can say is that the forecast is going to be used based on the SAP Business One. Okay, and another important thing is how do we want to see our forecast on the calculation. We can say that our forecast is going to be constant, like it says is right here, that it doesn't matter at what day we are on the week, the forecast will be always be 25. If we select that our forecast is going to be descending, the system will take into account the day that we are on the calculation. For example, we are on a Thursday right now. So the system will only take into account the Thursday and Friday as part of the forecast of 25. So in this case, it's going to take only 10 because he assumes that it's going to be 5 per day because we have 5 days a week and we have the 25. So it's only going to take only a part of the forecast for that week. In our scenario, we're going to make it constant. Okay, so we can see that the 25 from the week are going to be taken into account. So I already calculated. Okay, just to get the time from that, and we just click on the order recommendation. And as you can see in here, we will have two items, the finished good and the raw material that is linked to the finished good. On the finished good, we will have these 4 forecasts that are per week. Okay, This is going to be for next week. This one is going to be for the week after that. So in this case, it's going to be a total of 100. Okay, so this is why we see it, a total of 100. It's spread it in weeks. Okay, but what about the second item? The second item has another thing that I wanted to show you, that is the lead time. Okay, it will take 3 days just to get this item into our fabric in order to be consumed. So if the forecast says that the requirement is for the May 15, May 22, and so on, we will have to go 3 days before in order to get that. Where do we put that? That comes from SAP also, but we also find it on our planning data, okay, on our lead time, that is going to be 3 work days, okay. So in our scenario, we also have a new thing, that is a purchase order that we have for the future, that we have for next Tuesday, and this one will be taken into account when we start calculating the total that we need for this requirement. Okay, so in this case, we have the forecast that is 100, but we already have a purchase order for 50, so we will need only 50 more in order to get to the 100 that we have. Okay, so as you can see, and let me try to show you, for the first forecast, okay, it has to go from the 8th, okay, it has to go 3 days back. As we do not have 3 days back because we are on the 4th, it will give us the date from today, but it should be the day before. Okay, but for example, the next one is for the 15th, so it should be on the 10th. So let's go in here. Okay. Oh, it's just that it's taken. Excuse me. In here, it's taking another work day as a Saturday. Okay, so that is why. So in this case, as you can see, and the next one was for the 22, and the next one for the 29th, and it has its three days before in order to get to the requirement, to the delivery date. Okay, so that is the delivery date. Okay, in here we have on the right side of the screen, we have other information that, for example, in this scenario, we have a purchase order that was created before. So in this case, the system will bring here the detail of this purchase order. Okay, the ship date, the supplier, the document number, the quantity, the price, and all the information according to the purchase order. It will also bring, if we have different prices or price lists, it will bring information in here. And also, if we have alternative items, for example, if we cannot get this item, we have the raw material number 3, for example, and we assign it as an alternative item, we can do the requirement like a purchase order or use the stock from the raw material 3, and it will appear in here. Okay. Another information that you may have, and that is kind of helpful in situations like this, is that when you just right click on each line, you will have information about it. You can open the purchase order only when you are connected to SAP too. Okay, we can see the origin of this, okay? As we can see, this is only the purchase order that was created for this item. But for example, the forecast, we can see the origin, and as we can see, it comes from the forecast from the finished good. So we can see in here that is the forecast from the finished good that will do a forecast for the raw material, but we also have a purchase order that can that is reserved for this requirement. Okay, so there are many information right on this window that can be very useful for you guys in order to take a look on everything. If we create a purchase request, or if we do any other adjustment in here, if we create the purchase order right here, if we click on the calculation update, it will bring the information right into the window. Okay, so that is another way. If we have a document creation and we just wanted to update it in here, we just right click it and just calculation update, and it will calculate again the sum of this item. Okay, so I'm not going to do the purchase request and all that because we're going to do it at the end with all the rest of the items. Okay. So now we have the third scenario. The third scenario will include a sales order and a work order and also a forecast into our MRP. Okay. In this case, I already calculated too. We can see is kind of the same. The only difference is that on the second scenario, if we go under detail and we go under the sales, we do not include the sales orders. That is why we didn't see it. And we did not include the work orders as well. We only included the purchase orders. So in our next scenario, that is going to be included all the rest. As you can see, it's going to be for the same product, but the difference is that at this moment, we're going to include the production and we're going to include the sales orders as well. Okay. So let's see the order recommendation in here. As you can see, we have more lines, okay, that includes into our finished good and that are included into our raw material. An important thing is the behavior that we have on the system where we have sales order and we have forecast, okay? If we have both things for the same product, the system will take from the forecast, the quantity from the sales order and will take into account the sales order per se. As you remember, the forecast was 25 per week. In here, as you can see, we only have 20 because the system subtract the sales order from the forecast and include a line that is about the sales order. As you can see, the system will not take into account both demands because it's the same. Okay, so it's just going to take the sales order and it's going to subtract from the forecast that part of the sales order. Okay, so as you can see, this is what it does with the sales order in the finished good. We also have a work order that as you can see in here is going to be an inflow. Okay, that is going to be a receipt. Is going to add inventory to our storage, so it's going to be a plus. Okay, the rest is going to be something to subtract from the inventory. So the calculation will estimate a quantity of 85. Okay, on the raw material, that is a bit different. Okay, we do have a purchase order that we saw in the previous scenario. Okay, but we have a consumption from the work order that is from the finished good. As you can see, this is the work order 30, okay? That in here is going to sum into the inventory, but in here, as it's going to consume from the raw material, it's the same work order, but it's going to subtract from the warehouse, from the inventory that we have. So we need to request this this quantity in order to get to the forecast, to all the forecasts that we have, and to the work order that we have planned in the future. Okay, so this is how it looks. Okay, from the from this part of the scenario. And as you can see, we have the work order in here that is going to sum. So we have it right here because this is the current income that we will have for the finished good. If we go to the raw material, we only have the purchase order because the work order is not going to sum inventory to our material. Okay. So this is how it looks on the sales order, forecast, and work orders. We have another scenario that is going to be the sub-assembly. What about if we have this structure like we see on the left side of the screen? We have the finished good, we have a raw material, but we also have a sub-assembly that have another raw material. Okay, and we have it, and we have for this one on the forecast, that is the finished good number 3. We had a forecast of 25, 20, and 5 for the next 4 weeks. So in this case, we're going to have a requirement to be made. We just click on order recommendation, okay? Just like the previous one. And as you can see, the system will bring all the items that are involved in the finished good, okay? That is our raw material. This is our finished good, and it's going to bring the forecast for this one, okay? That is the 25, 20, and 5 from the finished good. But then when we go to the sub-assembly, we will have the minimum inventory that we saw on the first scenario, okay? And as you can see, we have some production made, okay? But we also have the forecast from the finished good, okay? And one thing that is important is, why do we see 60 and 15 if the forecast was 20 and 5? Because if we go under the structure and we go to the bill of material, we can see that the sub-assembly, we need three of this sub-assembly to just produce one of the other. So it's going to take into account that information from the bill of material. Okay, so in this case, we will have it triple. Okay, and on the raw material that is apart from the sub-assembly, we will have it twice because that is the quantity that we need. We need 2 of this raw material per finished good. And as you can see, we also have a different purchase order in here. So it will just bring, if we needed 100 and we have a purchase order for 20, we will only need 80. Okay? So this is how we read the information. So let's just take a look on this, and we just click on order recommendation. And as you can see in here, we will have all the different items that we have on the previous scenarios, just all in one. Okay. The only difference that I did was on this filter. First, I have it for item property to assign the different scenarios, but in here, I'm only going to take all the MRP information that we have in here. We're going to take the forecast, and we're going to take all the information, as you can see in here, We're going to take the minimum inventory. We're going to take the production and all the other information. So we go to the order recommendation. And in here you can see we are going to make a production and purchase request, okay? Just to get to the different scenarios. Okay, we just click in mode as we did before on the first scenario. Okay, so in here you will see all the procurement method produce and buy. But after this, we can say, well, we just pre-assign, or we just put it here. Well, I only want to make 150 from this one, and from this one I will do the 85, and for this one the 50, for this one only 400. It depends on how you want to manage, but you can adjust it by yourself. And after this, we just click on purchase order request first to get all the ones that are in the purchase orders. Okay. And as you can see, for the same supplier, we have the different raw material. And in here, we can check or uncheck the materials that we want to include in the purchase order in case we want to do it right away, okay, or the purchase requisition. Also, we can say, no, I don't wanna take this one, so we can delete it from here. For example, this one. So in this case, oh, it's just that it was all checked. I'm sorry about that. But this is how we do it. And for example, if we do it the other way, the 195, the 80, and the 50, and it's going to be production, we just say start, and it's going to bring all the production demand. It's not going to be the work order, but it's going to be all the production requests that we have. In here, you can see our 3-1, but this report brings all other items that had a production request done by any other MRP scenario, okay? So what you can do is just select the items, the production requests that you want, and you can just say, well, I just want to create individual orders, like different work orders, or just one order with different positions, okay? Or we can, if we have the same operation, we can just say, if we're going to go through the same resource and if we're going to take the same one, I just wanted one position with all these 3, just to make sure that the setup time is going to be just only take once, okay? So these are all the ways that you can do it. For example, we can say, well, let's just make one order, okay, with different positions. So we just click in here. Uh, let's just take when you click on cancel, we just have to do it again. That is, sorry. All right. So as you can see in here, there is a production request that we have, okay? So we can go again under the report production request or under the report purchase request, okay? In this case, because I deleted all of them, the ones that I did, there is no, the balance is not in 0, for example, in this one. but for example, for the other one, it is. So let's just make the report. And sorry. And as you can see, it already did the work orders. As we go to the production work orders, I didn't do it, but somehow, well, I have to take a look on this because maybe in some cancellation there was a problem. But that is the way the system works, okay? So I hope this information will give us another perspective about the usage of be.as and all the benefits that we have. And at this moment, I'm going to stop recording